All right. So welcome, welcome. Great to see you. Patsy, Lori, welcome. I was just saying before some of you jumped on that where so many people get stuck and like culturally, socially, I think where we get stuck is because we have a lack of conscious initiation in community, conscious ceremony that allows us to transmute energy. And when we don't have that, this is, I believe, why we have such a huge increase in mental illness is isolation, is we don't have the tools, the skills, or the culture that allows us to step through these portals of initiation, menses, menopause. We've got weddings. That's about like the kind of cultural milieu, but we don't have divorce ceremonies. Why not? We don't have conscious ceremony initiation that I believe is a requirement. And so we find ourselves as we get older, we just accumulate and hold on to more. In Ayurveda, we call that ama, right? Toxicity. It's not just physical, it's mental, emotional, congestion, toxicity, undigested karma, unprocessed karma. And with that, it is very difficult to be free, not just psychologically and emotionally, but in our energy body. And we know that if our energy field and the srotas, the channels, the nadis, the flow of prana through our system does not have clear pathway, then dis-ease is the result. I've been thinking a lot lately about the interplay and the premise of Ayurvedic medicine, because that is my training, that is my background, and how nowadays I'm working more and more with conscious souls wanting to really step into their next level, whether that's through their business, through their life. And it's all the same principles. Ayurveda says, the root cause of all disease is forgetting our true nature as spirit. We've disconnected from source, and that's where all of our troubles begin. And the little I, that sense of I, the ahankara, is so confused because we think we are this, we think we are this body, we think we are this job, we think we are this name, and it causes so much separation and distress. And until we bring greater awareness to that, and this totally ties into the topic of today of wealth, of abundance, of prosperity, it is our disconnection from source that provides that gap, right? And we think, oh my God, my mortgage, my business, my car payments, my bills. And then what happens to our energy field? Contract, contract, contract. What happens to our mind? Whoa, chaos, confusion, stress, anxiety, overwhelm. And really, we have one problem. And the only problem we have, and this is good news, by the way, the good news is that you don't have a million different problems. You have one challenge, and that is forgetting. That's simply you forget that you're a fucking incredible, magnificent, miraculous soul. You're just here for a little moment having this life. And yes, it is so truly important. And how you be inside of yourself is important. That's why we're here having these conversations. But the root cause of all distress, of all dis-ease, is our disconnection. And that's ultimately the work that I do with my clients, is helping them remember who they actually are. And that is the work that we will be doing inside of Wise, Wild, and Wealthy. So yes, it's a program that I've created that will appear to be about wealth and abundance and money and wealth and success on your terms. But ultimately it's a deeper healing. It's a deeper reconnection and a celebration of our abundance and our magnificence, and including money in that, because that's something for me personally that has been for so much of my adult life separated. Like you can be spiritual or you can be material. And that if you're spiritual, it's kind of icky over here to even talk about money, think about money, want money. And that's such BS. It's such BS because we are in a third dimension, and this energy, this frequency, this currency that we call money. And this is why working with you incredible people, I'm like, you're healers. You're people that get consciousness. You're creatives, you're artists, you're visionaries. We should be the ones channeling and having the ability, because we create worlds, to do that financially. And yet there's often a disconnect for super heart-centered spiritual women or men. It's the disconnect and all of the conditioning that we have around money, etc., or just simply giving, right? That, oh, as a woman, I'm just supposed to give everything until I'm in depletion, and I just have to keep going and push through and tend to this and tend to that and take care of the business, the kids, the everything. You know, this whole feminist movement, we really shot ourselves in the foot, ladies. It was easier 100 years ago. But no, I think this is wonderful. And now it's like finding that place of how do we stand in our sovereignty, in our authorship, and in that place of our queendom, essentially, not from a place of power over, but power into ourself, rooted into the earth, connected up to the cosmos. And it's this channel, this central channel, that we need to consciously tend to, so that we can live from overflow and not depletion in any way, shape, or form. Because maybe you've got all the money, but you don't have the energy. Maybe you got all the time, but not the money. Maybe you got no time, but like there's going to be some sense of not enoughness. And typically the ones that I hear from my clients are, I don't have enough time, I don't have enough energy, or I don't have enough money. Those are typically the ones, and they're all rooted in the same lack, scarcity consciousness. So the idea, my idea is like, well, why can't I have it all? And we can have it all, but we have to surrender the parts of ourselves that are addicted to being busy, that are addicted to getting our sense of self-worth from doing, from proving, from achieving, the parts that have, you know, greater allegiance to past conditioning of scarcity, of lack, opposed to an allegiance to truly to the divine, to source, to God, whatever you want to call it. Like if we're walking the path of, I believe that this is an abundant universe and that I am one with divine, with nature, there can't be these little pockets of our life where like, oh, but just not there. Just not in that part, right? It's such a contradiction. So this is very exciting to me because it's actually about freedom. So whatever you define abundance, because we're all going to have a certain set point. Some people are like, I just want more time to like be able to walk my kid to school. That's the degree of abundance. Or I want more time for self-care, to hike in the mountains. Or yeah, I want more money so I can go on like a beautiful holiday with my family and not be in guilt or fear or stress. So first of all, you get to define your definition of abundance, of success. And I can tell you, once you find that definition, double it, because most women are like, oh, well, I guess I just need enough. But what if this is a universe that is based in such abundance? And if you don't if you don't ask, the universe can only meet you where you say yes inside yourself. The universe can only meet you in the place that you say yes to. So if you say yes to, oh, well, just enough to cover my bills, okay. Or, oh, I need more money. Okay, well, then you're going to have more bills, so that the need for more money keeps coming. So when we're in need, when we're in like that, not having energy, again, based in separation, and we're going to get more of that not having energy. Don't have enough time, don't have enough money, don't have enough energy. So I'm opening this space up to any questions that you have today. And a reminder, this is being recorded, this will be shared. So if you prefer to type in a question, if you prefer to unmute your question, being in dialogue is going to be the best. And also, I would invite you to set your intention that whatever questions get asked today serve you. Even if you think, oh, well, is that really related to me? Yes, this relates to you 100%. It might sound contextually a little bit different from like, oh, that's not my situation, but really stay open because I'm creating in this field that you are going to receive what you need today, but you also have to agree to that. You also get to affirm that if you so choose. And if not, that's okay too. But living intentionally, even in this moment, what is your intention? What would you like to get out of this time together today? This isn't a passive, oh, I'll just consume more information or show up for this thing. And yeah, maybe. It's like, bring your whole being to this space. Declare, affirm, make this time together today the most powerful thing you've done in the last year. You feel the difference in energy? Because we just consume, right? We just are consumers. We're consuming, scrolling through Facebook, Instagram, whatever it is, consuming, taking in other people's thoughts, taking in other people's ideas, taking in other people's energy all day long. Often that's the first thing we'll do in the morning. Wake up on the phone, consuming before we're even clear about what is my energy? Where am I at? Who am I? And it can be very discombobulating and we're like being pulled in a million different directions. So decide, what do you want? What do you want out of this time together? This is your life. You will not get this time back. This time is moving. Your life is moving on. So make it valuable for you. Do you feel the difference in energy and quality of like, rise up, show up? It doesn't have to take more effort. It just means deciding this will be the best hour of your day, week, year, life. All right. Okay. So I'm going to pop over into the chat because I saw our first question. Heidi says, how do I reprogram the conditioning? Okay. Yeah. This is essentially all the work that I do with people because the reprogramming of the conditioning, I believe, is the only game in town. The programming, the conditioning is what I call non-self. It's not our true nature. And so if this, imagine this diagram, this is yourself, you come here as a soul, you've decided to come here on this planet at this time to have certain experiences. I can't tell you why, but you know why on a deeper level, maybe not consciously in this human form, but there's something you came for an adventure, okay? You came for an adventure, and that adventure is going to have a whole lot of experiences. So this is yourself that is eternal, that is infinite, that is not afraid, and that knows that you can't mess it up, and that knows that you're worthy beyond measure. That still part of us exists. Now that gets covered up because conditioning. So conditioning is like this. It starts to distort our literal energy field. And then we just call that our personality. We're just like, well, that's just who I am, or that's the way the world is, or that's the way other people are, or that's the way it all is. And we're walking around like this. So we're not seeing ourselves or others clearly, or quote unquote reality clearly. We're seeing the reality of our conditioning. Does that make sense? Give me a thumbs up if that makes sense. Okay. So how do we go from this to this, right? And then that is where we can be with ourself, as ourself, opposed to feeling like we're having to pretend or fear that we're having to be pulled in a million different directions. So the question is, how do we deprogram? It's not an overnight thing. It's not a, just go do ayahuasca and everything will be okay. It's not like, oh, you'll just, have an awakening like Eckhart Tolle and yay. No. It is first of all, deciding that it's important. And I would assert that it's like the most important thing, that we can still go through our day-to-day life and like fulfill our responsibilities and, go to work, do the things we have to do. We can still do that and simultaneously be unconditioning ourselves, because every moment, if you've noticed, every moment there's thoughts, there's emotions, there's feelings, there's sensations. All of that that's happening even right now is just your conditioning arising and then projecting outwards. So this question is brilliant, and ultimately a process. There's not like, here, if you just do this one thing, everything will be okay. But if I were to say, like, what is the one thing? If you were to do the one thing to decondition yourself, you're going to be so disappointed by this answer because it's so simple and boring. You'll be like, oh, well, yeah, whatever. I tried that. Presence. Actual presence. So right now, just try it. Practice right now. Imagine you're taking off the cloak of identity. You're taking off, you're letting the ego just go. And like, what is here? Look with your eyes, look at colors, look at textures. Just let your environment come into your being. Notice the breath, be the observer. Even here, as we're talking, as you're listening, as you're in a space, there's a screen of a computer, but there's a different quality than ego. This is how it feels in my system anyway. Like ego's like, hey, like, it's sort of tight, it's holding on, it's like, that kind of feeling. But there's this presence where it's like, and you can even sit back, like if you have a back on a chair or the wall, like find your back body, sit back into the spine, like exhale into the back body. Mostly we're like this. But there's a quality, like even let your chin come back a millimeter, sitting back into your spine, letting the organs rest. And in this moment, affirming, there's nothing I have to do. There's no one I have to be. There's nowhere I have to go. And just notice if there's a different quality where you don't have to get anything, that everything that is arising in our conversation today is simply a remembrance. There's nothing you don't know, there's nothing you are not, and there's nothing you cannot have if that desire is in your heart. Most people aren't clear about what that desire is, or they keep pretending that it's not important. There's the vision is there, and then, oh, well, maybe that's not for me. Or, oh, I tried and it didn't work out, so I guess that's not what the universe wants for me. The conditioning will obscure the vision. The conditioning will so often obscure the desire. And this is that low grade anxiety, that low grade stress that we carry, because on a soul level, our soul is like, hello, you're getting older. Time is passing and you keep betraying yourself. Why are you betraying yourself? Why aren't you listening to what's in your heart? Why do you believe you're not good enough? Why do you believe you can't have it? Why do you believe you're not worth taking care of? Why do you believe you're not worth investing in yourself or the thing? Investing in, not purchasing out of, not buying out of lack and scarcity. There's a big distinction. You know, those like shopaholics, let's just call. And maybe you have like a mild or major version of this. Oh, I'm just going to order that thing on Amazon. Ooh, I get a delivery package at my doorstep. Dopamine hit. Or like, oh, I'm just going to go buy a new pair of earrings. Ooh, dopamine hit. Like filling that it's like the hungry ghosts in Buddhism, right? The hungry ghost, never quite satisfied. Let me fill it up. So that to me is not abundance. It might look like it externally. Oh, I'm just going to give myself whatever I want. Different quality. And only you know inside yourself what that quality of motivation is. Where are you giving to yourself from? And what are you giving to yourself? Is it in alignment with your values? And this is all stuff we're going to dive into in the Wise, Wild, and Wealthy program, along with the how do we uncondition. Part of it is nervous system, because our nervous system, as you guys know, is information connected to our energy centers, not completely synonymous with, but connected to. So if we have a nervous system that is a set point for stress, anxiety, lack, disappointment, frustration, whatever our nervous system is set to, well, that's exactly what we will experience. We can't experience beyond our nervous system. And our nervous system is entangled with an identity. And this is the unraveling, is getting clear on what is my identity that I'm choosing, not the default one of my past that I've been living, but who am I choosing to be? Meaning, what is my true nature? Where is the nervous system not ready to hold more wealth, to hold more spaciousness, to wake up in the morning without feeling like I've got this to-do list? Like, we get addicted to that. And that literally becomes an identity. Oh, I'm the person who is like always busy, always on the go. So looking at where we're operating out of, first of all, conditioning, pattern disrupt is huge. We have to start doing different things. Again, very simple concept, but the application, the embodiment is where the actual transformation occurs. And that's where it starts to get uncomfortable. That's where we start to feel like the ego death is arising. Oh God, this feels so uncomfortable. I feel like I'm dying. Great. Welcome. You're on the right path. You're in the right room. And I wholeheartedly believe that we can't do it alone. You cannot generate greater wealth. You cannot build your 6, 7, 8-figure business alone. No, you can't do it alone. So why do we think that we should be able to just live an extraordinary life without any greater support? So if you're here for mediocrity, I'm probably not for you. If you're here for extraordinary on your terms, whatever that means to you, extraordinary. And I know you are here for extraordinary because I see you and I know you, and you are all incredibly fabulous. Okay, Heidi, is that helpful? Oh, Heidi says, I thought you were going to stop pretending. Well, no, I think it depends what your definition of pretending is. I think our imagination is going to be one of the greatest tools of creation, actually. So if that means pretending, then I'm all for pretending. I would say stop betraying yourself. Stop lying to yourself. Because those lying to ourselves, not being honest with what we really want, of what we really need, or betraying our own sense of knowing, our own inner guidance, our own intuition over and over again. It might be so subtle, right? We get that little nudge, blah, it doesn't fit into the identity. So then we override it because it fits into the conditioning pattern to not do that thing. So the process of reuniting, of remembering that womb space, that inner knowing, it is inherent. It's not something special that only psychics have, no, we know, but it's been clouded up, it's been forgotten. It is a skill that we get to nourish and reconnect into so that we can trust ourselves again. It's one of the biggest things. You're not trusting yourself. And you might get that intuition, you might get that download, you might get that hit. And then what prevents you from taking action? I can tell you it's going to be the old conditioning, the old nervous system, the old programming. And so we can titrate it. This is also like in Ayurvedic medicine, right? Okay, what if we try this? Oh, not quite enough. The medicine has to be stronger than the disease. The medicine has to be stronger than the disease. So the pattern disrupt has to be stronger than the old conditioning, or at least more practiced. Like if we do one big pattern disrupt thing, like say you go and like dye your hair blonde. You're like, oh my God, what just happened? Oh my God, that's what happened to me the other week. I'm like, what is this? I don't understand this whole hair dyeing thing. I don't understand what this is. That was a big pattern disrupt. I'm like, what? Okay, this isn't what I was expecting. This isn't who I am. And how fun. Let me ride with this. Let me experience myself differently than how I've experienced myself before. This is why women go get their hair cut or done when they're often like a big life change. Yes? True, ladies? Or untrue, right? Been through the divorce, been through the like, I'm ready for the next level, been through the, I just had enough. And in yogic speak, we would say, or they would say, like in the ashram that I lived in anyway, that it's the hair holds karma, right? Whether we buy into that or not. But I would say every cell in our body holds karma. So whether it's here or here, it's in us until we transmute, until we alchemize that energy. And that's the work that I do with my clients. It's alchemy, it's transmutation, it's taking the energy and shifting it, molding it. It's like it's a creative process. It's a creative process. Okay. So Heidi, I hope that was helpful for now. I know that it's like, I could talk about this for lifetimes probably because it's that big. It is that big. And it's simply our choice. And I've made this like what is most important to me in my life is knowing who I am truly. I don't want to get to the end of my life and be like, God, I felt like a secondhand version of myself. I didn't fully allow myself to receive the magnificence of me. And therefore, I didn't allow anyone else to either. It is the most selfless thing we can do to do this inner work. The gift of you is only received primarily by you. It has to be received by you. And that means opening up to receive all of life for you. It is here for you. You're not a victim just running through this maze of like, let me figure it out. Let me figure it out. There's nothing to figure out here. And when we get caught in that egoic idea of I have to figure it out, we've disconnected from the true source of guidance. So how do we actually move out of the logical, practical, wounded masculine way of running our life into, and both are required. I'm not dissing on masculine energy at all, and definitely not, this isn't a male-female thing, but the masculine energy has been so exaggerated and the feminine energy has atrophied inside of us. And so the process of receiving can be as simple as receiving compliments. It can be as big as receiving the abundance that is already in your, like in escrow, it's in your field. But you have to attune to the frequency of your true nature to allow the fruition of your life's unfolding to occur in the most tremendous way. If you keep beating the drum of this other energetic state, this other identity that isn't who you are, that's the like, and I know this one well, feeling like I'm trying really hard, trying so hard. Why isn't the universe supporting me? Why isn't the universe meeting me here? Well, because I wasn't designed to try really hard. That's conditioning. And I got really good at it. And then I got some results from it. So then my ego thought, oh, this is the way. And actually it's not. And through the trying hard mode, or example, you will never get to, I will never get to true being through that, because it's not the truth, it's conditioning. My soul didn't incarnate here to be like, I'm going to come into this body and try really hard. Lame. Like, really? Really? Is that what I signed up for? I don't think so. I think it was more something along the lines of, I'm going to come down into a human body and have an experience on Earth at this time because holy cow, it's going to be a wild ride. And I'm going to discover compassion, what true compassion is, what true forgiveness is. I'm going to actually discover the power of me when I no longer project it out to other people. Oh, the power's in the economy. I can't do what I want to do because the economy. Oh, the political situation. Oh, I can't have the life I want because so-and-so's doing this or that are like puppets on a stage. No, I came here. I'm imagining you might have too. I don't know. Come for an adventure of awakening, to remember, and the joy of awakening, the thrill of remembering that we are that. So hum, I am that I am. What are they talking about? Did anyone take a moment in their yoga class to pause and reflect what that is? I hope so, all you yoga teachers. And then to go beyond that, start living it. It's not just a nice little mantra. Oh, I am that I am. So hum, so hum. Who cares? What are you living? What are you embodying? Are you taking the risk to step outside of your conditioning? It will be uncomfortable. You'll have to do things that feel uncomfortable to your nervous system. Absolutely. And it will require a deepening of faith. And I think this is the most important part of our shedding of non-self, is that it draws us into faith. Faith is when we are abiding in a life, in a moment where it doesn't seem like the thing is coming or happening, but that we know in our heart, we know in our being what is correct for us, what our vision is of ourself, of our life, of humanity. If you hold that vision and get clear about what your values are and take the action, that's the magic. That's it. But if we're so stuck in our like conditioned responses, in our pain, trauma, and drama, we are not here to birth the vision and birth the new worlds. We can't, and not that we have to have this all cleaned up. We don't have to be perfect in any of this. So please don't let that be like, oh, well, I've got all this stuff I got to figure out before I can actually live my purpose and be who I came here to be. No, it happens together, all at once. It's like saying, oh, well, I need to love myself perfectly and wholly and unconditionally before I can be in a relationship. Who does that? Well, I haven't seen anyone like that. Relationship is going to bring up all the triggers, all the places that are unhealed inside of you. It will. Not always fun, but useful. So useful. And so we get to be so grateful for all of the characters in our play. Okay. Thank you, Heidi, for that question. Okay. Claire says, my grief that is in body, being allowed out in tears, not in words, is exhausting. Okay, yeah, I hear you. Breaking the habit at the same time, letting myself down before I say no, no more, and saying I'm not going to engage in this, no more over explaining, and in awareness, being quiet, my needs being important at that moment, not being accepted by another. This is still difficult, and this is my habit to break. But the but is really the question. Okay, so what's the question? And feel free to take a moment to see if you can articulate what the question is. And I think the exhaustion of grief is actually to ground us, to stop us, in fact. because those, heavier densities of energy, they're not bad. They have a real purpose. And I think grief can empty us and ground us, like where we're literally lying on the floor because we can't stand up, where we're literally held by the earth. It's the deepest surrender, or that's been my experience anyway. Grief is a wonderful and benevolent friend and teacher. As difficult and excruciating as it can be to walk through that initiation, when we literally give it over, different from giving up, we don't give up on life, we don't give up on ourselves, but we give over to. I give over to this experience. I give over to life. I empty out all of the thoughts, the beliefs, the behaviors that were so attached to an experience, a person, a projection of a future is what I found is some of the deepest grief that I had was the loss of a projected future of who I thought I was, where I thought I was going. So Claire's question is, what to do to break the inner dialogue? Yeah, and yes to grief. It is actually welcome to allow that to be in body. Yeah, the projected future, it's very painful. And it can be painful on any level when we feel disappointed. And when we feel like, well, I don't know who I am anymore if it's not going to be the way that my mind thought it would be. But everything is a projected future. What you think you're doing this afternoon may not happen. It might, and I'm not saying like don't set an intention, but our projected future, we don't know. This is the greatest mystery. This is the dimension of mystery. And so the ego tries to control. And that's where a lot of our pain comes from. And suffering kind of prolongs that because the ego starts to like hold on tighter when it goes, I don't have control. And so that the ego death, the letting go, saying, I am not this identity. And the shedding of that can be very painful. So to break the inner dialogue, the first thing we have to do is acknowledge it, is to accept it and to be like, okay, there it is. And then I don't think there's any cookie cutter rule on this. I think there's different pathways in. One path is in like doing parts work, doing inner child work is huge, I would say essential for most people at most times. And then sometimes, so that's sort of that like really softening, loving, accepting, listening approach. And if that's not your go-to, that's probably the approach you need. The other or another way in is the Kali sword of like, no, I will no longer tolerate myself speaking to myself in this way. I am no longer available for self-betrayal, for negative self-talk. Like, no, 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 no. The minute it starts, oh, you're not going to do all the blah, blah, blah. You stop. This is part of the pattern disrupt. Maybe you have a physical signal you give yourself, no. And then you have to come and repopulate that space with something neutral. I won't say positive per se, but at least neutral. I talk about this a lot in my Living After Loss book because that was the process of how I went from deep grief to reprogram literally the neural pathways, my energy, my psyche, from losing my partner to suicide to then me not wanting to be here. So feeling very grief-stricken, to recognizing that, oh my God, this inner narrative is our world. And if I don't know how to clean that world up, I will live in hell. And so the cleaning up of the inner narrative is the devotional practice. To see yourself, to live as you to speak to yourself only the way that creator would speak to you, only the way that the most loving, benevolent voice would speak to you. And then the ego's like, well, then I'll never improve. I'll never get anything done. I'll just sit and be a blob on the couch. No, that's actually not true. That's not what will happen. Yeah, maybe you'll need to lie in bed for 3 days and cry. But if you actually only speak loving things to yourself, there will be a moment that something inside of you, I would say it's probably your soul, will pick you up and walk you over and make a cup of tea. There will be something that happens. But you have to decide that you're no longer available for self-talk that is not the world you want to live in. We look out there and think, oh, the world, unprecedented times, all this war and tension and chaos. That, my friends, is a reflection of your inner state. There's nothing out there that is not in here. Dr. Ladd, an Ayurvedic teacher of mine, says, I am the world and the world is me. I am the world and the world is me. So that doesn't mean we lie down and go, oh, well, I guess that's just how it is. No, we recognize that you are the center of power of your universe. Does that mean that you get to control everything that happens in the world? No, because we have a whole bunch of other players and everyone's got free will. But I will tell you, your inner reality will be impervious to external drama. And that is freedom. And that's what we're doing here. That's what we're doing here. If there's something else you're more interested in than freedom, go somewhere else. Go and find that. If you're interested in freeing yourself, this is the space to do it in. This is where we do this in the work that I do with my clients. There's nothing more important to me than that. For myself and for others that want to join in. Let's go. Come on for the ride. Okay. And Claire says, never taught how to grieve or accept the grief in its truth. Yeah, we aren't. We are not taught how to grieve. We're not even taught to acknowledge grief. Yes, grieving with softness instead of doing that with such difficulty, which did yield results. Softness for me is now a good way to go. I so support that, Claire. I think that is where you will meet yourself wholly and fully, is in that softness, in that loving, in that compassion, in that divine perfection. It's who you be. Okay. Thank you. That's such a brilliant exploration. Okay. Patsy says, that was my question regarding trust. Talk more about expanding my nervous system. I have such a challenging time being with my emotions in my body. Is that true? You have such a challenging time being with them, or you just don't like it? You feel free to come off mute if you prefer, Patsy.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Tell me more.
I panic and then I run away. I either freeze or I run away.
Okay. Where do you run to?
Sometimes I run to the woods. Sometimes, I physically run away.
Okay.
Or sometimes I freeze, but I don't. I like what you're saying about grief. I don't really allow myself to be with. Did you just say?
So I'm wondering if, do you have an example of that, like of that freeze or that panic and then running away, like something tangible in your life recently or at any time?
Yeah, I'm bumping up against my relationship with my husband at the moment.
Yeah.
And I will express myself in what I want, what I desire, and he hears it as blame. So then he gets right back in my face about what he hasn't done or does, da 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 da. And then that moment, it's too much for me. So I will go to another room, or I will not be able. Literally, that happens. Yeah.
Here's what I would suggest. It might sound so minuscule, but I think this is like the doorway in, is in that moment, just to label it. You can either label it in your head or verbally, even like, oh, I'm doing that thing. Oh, I'm freezing, I'm panicking. And then take a breath. And then you can still, if it still feels like I'm going to go in that other room, like do that and then be with yourself differently. When you go in the other room, don't abandon yourself. That's the moment
Okay.
to go into. And this is where a rehearsal of this, it can just be a sentence. It can be something like the Ho'oponopono prayer. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I forgive you. Thank you. I love you. Or it can just be that if you practice enough speaking to your inner child, because that's actually there's a part of you, a younger part that gets activated in those moments. If you train yourself, and I did this, and it actually is getting easier and easier when I get triggered, because I get triggered by my partner too. You're not alone in that.
I didn't think I was.
No, you're definitely not alone in that. The rehearsal of how I speak loving to myself, it pops in those moments now. It pops in in the consciousness because I've trained, because I've practiced that.
Okay.
So that now I might hear something like, oh, it's okay. I'm with you. Like, so you can train yourself into that. And then it's going to start to shift things. Does that, does
That
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 sense?
helps a lot. I can catch myself in the moment and not panic, either by shutting down, but I am unraveling what happened, and that's hard to do because then it's all mushed together. So I like what you're talking about. So I
Yeah.
can do that. So it's
And
like designing the conversation or being prepared. Yeah.
being
Okay.
prepared for it because it will happen again.
Yep.
Right? We know
Yeah.
that. So
Yep.
then that's great. It's like, oh, I know this is going to come up again because it's coming up because there's healing required here, not because your husband's trying to be a jerk or maybe as I don't know, but it's for you. So that inside of you, whatever that part that is just requiring more love and attention and care, it comes online in those moments because your nervous system is like on alert. It's been
Yep.
triggered
Yep.
into the old, right? Oh, this feels exactly like when.
Yep.
Yeah, practice that and practice it, whether you have a little sentence or phrase, practice it when you're feeling good too.
Okay.
So that we don't just wait, because in the moments of like a micro re-traumatization, if we haven't rehearsed it, it's difficult sometimes to access that. But if we practice it when we're thriving and when we're really feeling great, we make these affirmations, we tend to our inner child, not just when we're in the struggle, but always. Yeah.
Well, and that would actually help me receive when people are saying good things to me, which
Yes.
I have a harder time with than the negative stuff because I'm so programmed for the negative. So I like that it's across the board.
Yeah. And so in that moment, the pause might, when you hear the compliment coming in and part of you is shutting down, that could just be the inside yourself, receive, receive, receive.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome. And maybe the physical correlation with that is, maybe say you're standing there talking to someone and maybe you just relax your palms open, like that there's a somatic, oh, this is what I'm going to receive. And you'll shift it. You will.
Good. And I see in the chat that Lori's recommended that book. I read that. I tried to read that book and I was so afraid of it that I couldn't even hardly pick it up. So I think I might be ready for it again. So thanks for the reminder.
Fierce Intimacy by, oh, it popped over, by Terry Real. Okay, great. Thank you for that, Lori.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. Okay. So I'll just invite everyone to take in a breath, just check in with how you're feeling, what you're noticing in this moment. I'm curious if there's other questions. Lori, yeah, feel free to unmute yourself if you'd rather ask verbally, Lori, or you can type into the chat if you would prefer to type into the chat.
I'm gonna try to talk.
Yay!
I got
I
the
love
hand up. I don't know what of it now, but that means I wanted to talk. But oh well, I'll just leave it for now. Hi, everyone. It's early in the morning and my brain isn't always active, but I'm going to do my best. I've been called to deal with, well, personal boundaries is what I want to talk about and have questions about. So I just, in business and in relationship, they are coming up and I've been setting boundaries, which is really quite new for me. I feel like I'm like in this renaissance period where I'm dusting off the old self, but the self is still there, which I'm really happy about, but at the same time it's kind of renewing. And I'm excited about this phase, but at the same time I'm setting myself up in this position of being empowered in a place where I feel really afraid at the same time. And I know you mentioned you addressed that earlier around stepping into places where you are uncomfortable, but that's a good thing. And so I see it as a good thing, but at the same time, it's about waffling in that place when you're setting these boundaries. So my, example is just basically just saying, this is my personal boundary around what I think my artwork is worth, which I've, never really done before in that way. And then, will I lose this gallery because of it? Or will I get more respect? Those are and the same with relationship. No, I'm done in this relationship. This is my boundaries. Please don't cross them, but they cross anyways. And then I keep on repeating. And then part of me is just because uh, I'm, I want to be liked. So the child of me and the one that's not cultivated is the one that wants the attention, does not want to rock the boat, and doesn't want to hurt anyone because I want to be liked. And,
Yeah.
and so I'm in conflict because I guess I have fear because of setting so how do you set boundaries, but yeah, keep them porous enough so that they can shift and change if need be, but also keep that core value strong at the same time. So I kind of know the answer, but I don't at the same time.
And so tell me, what's the core value?
Love, personal love, like self-care and believing in myself. So I know that's a lot in one. Is that a
I love
value?
it. So yeah, I think self-love and self-respect, if that becomes your top priority, everything else will fall into place because self-love is very different from I want to be liked. And
Yes.
so if the old story of I want to be liked, um, is the kind of running, so let's just call that conditioning, is like running the show, your behavior is going to be distorted and warped. And then you're probably going to find yourself doing and saying things that you beat yourself up for after the fact and feel like guilt and shame. Oh, I didn't want to do that. Oh, I just lowered my prices. Oh, like that cycle. So what's the worst thing about not being liked?
Well, I'm experiencing it. I've lost friends, but I thought that the side, then the other side of that is, but were they really truly friends? Or have I just evolved and grown into this new person and we've kind of done our time together and just trust that this is the right choice. But I do feel more empowered for making those choices when I'm in that place of feeling more centered and grounded and knowing that and hearing my authentic voice that this was the good choice.
Yeah, like what I'm hearing is it's just you just need more practice
Yeah.
because that sense I totally I think you're exactly on track. That sense of empowerment and the fear or the, that is to me in my experience also is like I'm on the right path. It's so uncomfortable. I want to throw up in my mouth a little bit. And yet there's this sense of freedom, of expansion, of relief all at the same time. So I would question this I want to be liked identity. Like if, and
It,
really see like yourself, like yourself.
yeah.
Because if you like who you are, if you love who you are, that is going to energetically, when you really are in love with yourself, genuinely, not just like, oh, I love myself, I'm gonna go for a pedicure, like the difference, right? Where you're like, oh my goodness, I'm not perfect, I make mistakes, and I'm gonna love myself as I am. Like that true acceptance, there's a very different quality of energy that we be and that gets projected out. And yeah, you could also see if you start losing friends, sometimes it's because we are up leveling. If you haven't held boundaries before and you start holding boundaries, Some people may not like that. And so you get to decide, who am I living for?
Mhm.
And would I rather live in someone else's mind? Like when we're deciding, I heard you say, I don't want to hurt people. And of course, I don't think any of us here want to hurt people, but that's also a way that beautiful, spiritual, heart-centered people stay in codependency, because we think we have the power to hurt somebody. And then we also believe someone has the power to hurt us. And so we betray ourselves and abandon our truth because we're in a belief system that I can hurt you and you can hurt me. So I'm not going to be truthful. And so the true intimacy doesn't occur. And then we feel isolated. We feel alone. We feel unheard. We feel unseen. We feel like they don't get me. Does that track for you?
It does. And when you talk about liking yourself, I have been practicing. Someone had mentioned something, and I'm terrible at the quotes or just, these lines about the five people around you or the sum of who you are or something, the influence of them, and
Yes.
so, the external world constantly changes, but the internal world also does too. But I feel like, so what I'm doing is more building those friends inside of me. You talked about parts earlier. Parts work to me is the best kind of work. I find transformation happen quite quickly there. And so
Yes.
I've been practicing, who are those best friends? Who are those people? Who are that support inside of me? Who are those friends, or who are those influence, the sphere of influence inside of me, where
Yes.
I have more control over, I guess. I don't know if it's the word control, but I have more choice in that. So they
Yes.
can come and go, but I could say stay. And so I have like an unconditional love. I have trusted sources. There's a trio of them, and I have now a best friend. The best friend's the hardest one so far to really embrace, because I'm not used to that. I realize I don't think I really have a best friend then, if that's the type of best friend that I'm kind of cultivating inside of me, who's there
Yeah.
for me for everything.
Well, nobody outside of us can fulfill anything for us, but look what you're doing. You're actually creating that inside yourself. And
Yeah.
that's the most profound work, Lori, is that you will continue to strengthen that. And then that no matter what happens, no matter who comes in and out of your life externally, you will be in your vertical. Doesn't mean you won't have feelings about it. Doesn't mean you won't go through moments of sadness or disappointment or frustration, but that you know that you're okay
Mhm.
no matter what. And to me, this is a requirement
Mhm.
if we want to live a free and joyful life.
Right, because the
It's,
critic is usually the one that takes over the stage in my life, but I'm learning. I mean, I've been doing this work for a long time, and it's taking a long time for me to to not tame it, but to understand it and where it's come from, and learn how, and to know when it shows up, because it's very sneaky.
it can be absolutely sneaky. And it sounds like you're right on track. So this is phenomenal.
So,
Keep being true to yourself, keep aligning to your values, keep setting the boundaries that are your truth. That is the way that everything else will orient around us. The gallery will stay or go, but if we're making decisions out of fear and scarcity and not our values, then we'll continue and perpetuate that distorted reality. And again, you get to decide, do I want to live in fear, or do I want to live in the truth of who I am and what I believe?
so
And
sometimes I have to.
all great leaders have to come up against that, right? Of like, yeah, do I do the popular thing? Do I do what everyone else is doing? Do I do what I know I'll get likes for, like whether in real life or social media life, or do I do what is the truest, most authentic me? Because I'm the only one that lives inside of my psyche, myself, my being, and I'm the one that is the only one that I go home with at night. Even if someone's lying in the bed beside, it's like, this is our world. So you're doing fantastic. Keep
But is
going.
that so with the boundaries being flexible or porous? Because, I can just get really rigid and stop. It's like, no, this is it, and this is, is there, do you have recommendation about how to just keep them porous enough and just flowing and fluid, but yet still keep them strong?
Yes, that's presence. It brings us all full circle back to presence.
Okay.
Is like in that moment, in that moment, being really listening deeply.
And being an ADHD brain, which is very impulsive, it's very hard to just stop and breathe. And so I've been doing a lot of that practice too, because when I take that moment in between my thoughts that I want to spurt, spit out of my mouth, I find that's when I can really hear my inner voice. And so
That's the practice.
looking at that too. Okay, I will
And
do that.
practice that when you're feeling good. Practice that when you're feeling spacious. Practice that when you're feeling super grounded. Like, take a pause.
Mhm.
And then it will just, your nervous system will start to appreciate that, slowing it down, stretching things out. If you feel yourself going into that impulsiveness or like some sort of urgency, and this is for everybody, the ego loves urgency, right? Like, oh, I have to know now. And often, almost always, it's like we can take a pause. We don't need to respond to that person via text immediately or make a decision right now. We're not surgeons and having to like really on the spot do something life-threatening. So almost always we have, if we choose, space to take a step back, to slow things down, to really feel into what is true.
And because you've been saying, okay, just stop for a second and breathe, like I'm doing that. And it's like, oh my God, that space is really the most important part of this whole experience. Like not what you say or, and what the other person says, just about that state that you're in. Feels like
Yes.
that's really where it's all out. That's where it's about. That's where
Everything.
that's where it all happens, that state of grace.
Everything is state of being. And this is also at the core of the work I do inside of Wise, Wild, and Wealthy and inside of my bigger mentorship programs is state of being is everything. So all these threads tie into that, the inner child work, the somatic work, the nervous system work, all of those pieces play into state of being and identity. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you all so much for being here today. I loved these conversations. I hope they were very valuable to you also. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for your heart and vulnerability. And I believe this in community is how we can really heal and move to the next level. So if this excites you, if you want to go deeper, come into Wise, Wild, and Wealthy. It's going to be a beautiful exploration of 6 weeks of moving through our preconceived ideas about abundance, about self, about all of that. And if you're wanting something even deeper, then my Unleashed 3-month mentorship is coming up, and also my 6-month Next Level Magic mentorship. So let me know if you have any questions. You can send me an email, and I can't wait to see you soon.
Thank
Much
you.
love. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye. Ciao. Bye, Suzanne. Bye, Lori.